Hi, I'm Colin and welcome to How to Paint Watercolors. So if you're ready, we'll get started and we'll paint this one. Hello YouTubers, welcome back to my channel How to Paint Watercolors with me, Colin. I've chosen a mountain scene for this one. I'm just leaving a thin film of water on the paper, and then I just want to dry the edges of the mountains off so that the sky doesn't creep into them. Add a little bit more water to make it a little bit more fluid. We'll be doing a wet and wet sky with clouds, and we will drop colour in cerulean blue and French ultramarine. Just going to create some shapes. With it being a heavy colour, it shouldn't spread too much. Raw sienna, cadmium yellow light, and I'm just dropping water into this because I do want it to explode a little bit, trying not to add it to the blue. It also helps to really pale it down. Drops a little raw sienna in it. Cerulean blue, French ultramarine with some alizarin crimson in it. Just allow this to creep. And I'm just laying the colour on top of the other one. I'm not working it in, trying to work relatively quickly and just allowing it to have its way. Darker cloud down here. Work quickly. This is a stronger version, same colour mixture, just more French ultramarine and burnt umber in it, just to darken one or two areas. Sunburst in at the moment, so just checking to see whether I like it. Adding some. We need to make it a little bit darker. Nice dark cloud here. Just feeding colour in very gently. A little yellow in here. Very pale. And now I'm going to leave that to dry. Now that your sky is dry, I'm just re-wetted the whole mountain area with clean water. I'm going to put the shadow side of this in. So I'm going back to my cerulean blue with French ultramarine. I'll put it in there, and some of the cerulean blue, French ultramarine and alizarin crimson. So it's turned into a very softy grey. Picking out the areas that I want to have in shade or coloured. Darker on this side, I think, just a little bit. These are very jagged mountains. the shadows to be all one flat colour. Peeling off into nothing here. Bring some darker shadows in here. Washing it out at the bottom. Adding some of the sky colour in. Dark. We'll lift some paint out in a minute. Want to create a little misty effect just by removing some of the paint. Scrubbing it out. And then we're going to leave that to dry. Now that your mountains are relatively dry, I'm coming back to the sky colour here, which is reasonably watery, and I'm going to take some of the French ultramarine, burnt umber with cerulean blue, and I'm going to darken it down a touch, just mixing some of these colours together to produce a nice darker colour. We'll just check it. And then we can begin to bring out some of the crags and cracks, leaving some areas clear. Almost a dry brush, and just drag the brush around to create your shapes. Maybe a little stronger than that, I think. From area to area and just build up where you think it's necessary. And we can darken one or two of these a bit later. If you think there's a gully there, and there is, shape it to the shape of the gully, almost like a U shape, like a letter. Take it up the mountain and you'll end up with that shape. Parts of the painting will be darker than others, so just adjust it slightly. I'm letting it pale towards this edge so you don't get pulled too far that way to the left hand side. Some really rocky shapes here. Using the very flat edge of the brush, not the tip. You can see your mountain slowly taking shape. Sure there's not too much paint on the brush. Constantly checking it. Moving the brush in the direction that the rocks on the scree slopes are going will make it more three-dimensional. There's a ridge line here. This will take some patience. very watery as we come down to where the sunlight's coming through. Not so defined here, because I want this to come into the mist and pale out as you come around these mountain peaks. Almost nothing on the brush now. A few indications of some rocky outcrops. Don't want anything on this side here. I want to keep your eye in this way. A little bit stronger again. Just as we just strengthen up one or two areas in the rock, just to give the eye more pulling power. Very easy to start adding too much now. I'm not sure I want to go into that. I'm darkening it up on the left hand side because that's where it really is in shadow, but still leaving some of the light and some of the dark together. And I think that's all I want to do for those mountains in the background at the moment. So we come to the foregrounded ones. So taking some of the rock colour, just check the strength. Just drop some colour in. Different patches of colour. Darker in certain areas. Lighter blue. This will pull it forward slightly. And then we're going to leave this to dry. Okay, your mountains are dry, and right at this moment in time I don't feel like I want to do anything more to them, so I'm going to come down to the foreground, middle ground, if that's the way to put it. I'm going to just strengthen this up a little bit using the same sky colours. I just want to bring this slightly forward and just with some directional strokes, and allow the hit and miss to take place once again. Maybe a little darker. Once again, just scrumbling the paint on. Say it's almost a dry brush. Taking some clean water all the way across where the shoreline is. Once again, French ultramarine, cerulean blue with alizarin crimson. I'm just going to drop this in and allow this to spread up the shoreline. Taking a little darker colour, French ultramarine, cerulean blue and burnt umber, adding it to that, and then dropping a little bit of this in places. Softening some of the areas off. A couple of directional pulls with the brush. Now we can leave that to dry. Now that's relatively dry, I'm going to take some clean water once again, and I'm just going to wet the water area or the lake area, and I want to bring it very close up to the shoreline. I just use the water as a vehicle to move the paint round and allow it to flow. Once you get used to it, it will become second nature to you. It's just a different technique. Sometimes I prefer to paint really wet. All the sky colours, cerulean blue and French ultramarine, a little bit of the yellow, blue, French ultramarine with the alizarin crimson. And if you just touch the yellow, it doesn't matter, just don't work it in. The water will start to deepen. French ultramarine and burnt umber. Bringing it in from the edges now to darken it. Ultramarine and burnt umber. And I just want to take out one or two lighter patches, areas, just to indicate maybe, you know, the mountains in the back. But I don't want to do full reflections. Just taking some paint out will give you the message. Taking my mop brush and I'm just taking some water off it. I want to put a few sun rays coming through, so hopefully this will lift some paint out. Take you more than one go. That will do for now, and then we're going to leave that to dry. Okay, the water's dry now. I did do a little bit more work on that, just the same thing again until the paint faded, and I think you could just see the sun rays coming through the sides of the mountains there. And I'm just going to put some water lines in, and I've just straightened up the shoreline at the back, and I want to add some slight wind movement to the water, so I'm taking a craft knife and I'm just where the dark parts are mainly, and just put a little bit of movement in. If you enjoyed this video, if you have, please click the like button. And if you're watching for the first time, please consider subscribing. All subscribers are welcome, and it will cost you nothing. Just a couple of tiny things to do. I think we'll put a couple of birds in, but I'm going to do these in white. Pick a dark spot. Now you get round to the best bit. This is where you get to sign it, put a mat round it and frame it. Like I say, I hope you've enjoyed this video, and I'd like to thank you all very much for watching. Thank you.